Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we'll start this Bava Batra daf Kuf Mem Vav. We are going to begin on Kuf Mem Vav and Aleph by the Mishnah. Says the Mastes na Sholech Sivloina Yisrael Beis Chom. A person sent gifts to his wife's family. Says the Rashba Min Chasanim L'Achar Kedushin. After the engagement, L'Machara Sholech Beis Chom L'Chavod Ishtay. He sends all these different things, tachshitin and mini peros, kadei shemen, kadei yayin. He gives all these different things, and sometimes he'll actually eat with them. So, shalach sham me'amana, let's say he sent 100 mana worth, the achol shem studus chasan, and he ate there a fil b'dinner, even a small amount, einan nigvin. He cannot collect it back, says Rashbam. Why would he collect it back? He just gave it. So Rashbam explains, Imes who, if he died, so maybe his heirs should collect. No, they're not allowed to if he ate from some of it. Or Shemesa he, or if she died, Shechazer boy, or if, let's say, they broke off the engagement. Ratzal Garsha wants to divorce her. Shemach maschiba simcha sachila, she'achav v'shasav v'samach imahen. The fact that he ate there and he enjoyed himself there at that time, all the items in which are perishable that are going to get used up, he was Michael. If it's items that don't get worn out, for let's say, for example, silver kalim, hadri, that he will get back. Even though he ate and drank with them, because the Gemara is going to say, stam mayri. We're talking about it's just a sivloinos. Dalkaman maflig b'sivlona sheshalach kadei shavu imo beis balwa sivlona sheshalach kadei shishtamish beveis avia. We're going to make a distinction between the gifts that are given in order to be used in his house or supposed to be consumed there. V'hanu lo toli b'chilos chasan, and for example, things in which won't get ruined, and things that he was expecting to bring into the marriage afterwards. He may have left it there for a small amount of time, but because it's something which doesn't get ruined or lose value, so therefore it was supposed to be brought back. So therefore it doesn't matter if he ate there. So we therefore understand the reisha is just regular sivlonos. So again, that is the discussion here. Okay, so now we understand why he can get it back. So anything in which is considered to be, as the Rashbam explained, perishable items, he won't get back. Well, achol sham, because he ate there. Well, achol sham, so does chasan hari el nigvin. However, if he ate nothing from there, then he'll be able to get it back. Then the Mishnah says, shach sevonos merubin. Let's say he gave a lot. And the Rashbam says it's in order to go lebeis baila, to go to the husband's house, and it doesn't really matter. Therefore, if it's the chasim merubin or even the chasim muatim, Rashbam says shiachser imo lebeis baila is supposed to go to the new husband. Hare elu nigvin, so he should be able to collect it. Sevonas muatim shishtamish bahen bebeis avia a nigvin. However, even if it's a small amount, if it's something in which was basically meant to stay at the father's house, then he cannot collect. Says the Gemara, Omer Davka dinner. That's only in a situation where he at least ate the sudas chasen, at least a dinner's worth, which is mashma of a pachas medinner loy. Less than that, no. So pshita dinner tanan. The Mishnah says a dinner, so obviously less than that, not. The manatema who didn't feel pachas medinner, even less than that. Maybe that's just like the normal measurement that a person eats is a dinner, as we saw previously in yesterday's daf. The adzuz achli bikarse. Usually up until a zuz is how much a person fills their stomach. Achol tanan. Shasamai. Okay, he ate, but what if he didn't eat anything, but he drank that amount? Hutanan shochumai. What if he didn't eat it, but instead his shliach ate it, that amount? Sham tanan. It was by her house. Shiger b'mai. What if it was sent to him? What is the din in all these cases? Tashma. Yomi Yehud Amir Shmuel Masabot Amechos is a story Sheshiglo Beis Chamav Meya Krainais Shel Kadi Advokadi V'Shel Kadi Shemen. A person sent a significant amount of wines and oil, V'Shel Clay Kesef, V'Shel Clay Zahav, silver and golden garment vessels, V'Shel Clay Melas, as well as other garments. V'Rachav B'Simchasai, and he was riding to the Simcha. V'Holach V'Amad Al Pesach Beis Chamav. He stopped basically at the entranceway. V'Hotziu Kaishel Chamen, and they gave him a cup of something to drink, some hot beverage. V'Shasei drank. Umace, who knows, it was poisonous, right? He died by the threshold, like before entering the house. V'Zu Halacha Ela Rabbi Acha Sarhabira. This was actually a question that was presented to Rav Achalef Nechachamim Usha, who was prevented in Usha, because that's where the Sanhedrin was, as the Rashbam points out, quoting the Gemara Masechtas Rosh Hashanah. The Amr Sivlonos Hasuin Libolois and Nigvan. So they quoted basically our Mishnah that if we have items in which will be used up or consumable items, then he will not be able to collect. However, items in which are non-perishable items like the Kli Zahav, Kli Kesev, Shmamina Fil Shasa. Apparently, even the fact that all he did was drink, the fact that he drank something, then itself already means that he can't collect the perishable items. So Shmamina Fil Pachas Mediner. So maybe we can derive from here also even it's less than a dinner. So Ravashi Man Lemulan Deloy Shach Kele Marganisa de Shavi Alpha Zusi Vashke, who said they didn't grind up a pearl into his drink and it was like worth 1,000 zuz that he drank. Obviously that's not what it's talking about, but the point is that we don't know how much he drank. Says the Rashbam, because Hachamin Shechein Derech Hasarim L'Shaisinais Refuah. Actually, it may be true. This was a refuah that they would grind up certain very expensive things and put them into a drink, and certain items were very expensive. Okay, so Shmami Nafil Shiruloi. So then apparently we should be able to learn out also that even if he didn't drink it or in the house, that should also constitute that he can't collect because he didn't get into the house. No Dilma Kol Pesach Beis Chamav Ke Beis Chamav Dami. The fact that he was like right on the front porch, it's like he was in the house. So that much we don't approve. Iboihu Mahu Shalesh. What is the din if he made it into thirds? Do we say if he ate half of a dinner, he gets back half, right? So that's basically, you can see over here on the side of the rush, the right from the rush, she is shalem. Mahu she is shalem. Do we say if he ate half of the dinner, he gets back half? That's the question. Shvach sivloinus mahu. What if there's improvements in the sivloinus? So kivan di'i isnehu l'didei hadre bershuse shavuach. Since it goes back to him, therefore we say that the improvements also are considered like his. If it gets lost, miganve or stolen, the reality is if they got lost or stolen, then it's on them to have to pay. So therefore it's like it's theirs now. So on that we have a teku. So on that it's not so clear what the din is. Okay. All right. Boy Rabba, Sivlonas Hasuyin Libolis. When it comes to these gifts in which are going to be worn out, they're going to get worn consumables, Vlobolu. But for whatever reason they didn't get used up yet, Mahu. So what's the din there? Is he able to collect? So Tashma. V'zu halacha ella Rabbi Acha Sar Habira with Nechacham B'usha. What did he paskin? V'yomer Sivlonas Libolis and Nigvan. And when it comes to Sivlonas which wore out, you don't collect. So my love, it must be that even though it was a little bolu, the fact is this is a gift in which is asun libolois. He a nigvin. It says you can't collect. Lo the bowl. Maybe the only time he doesn't collect is Sivlonis Asum Libolus and the Bolu, and that they got used. Tashma, Sivlonis Muatin, so our Mishnah said, even when it comes to a small gift, Shishtamish Behen, that's being used, which basically means it's going to be consumed in the father's house, Ein Nigvin, so he can't collect. So you see clearly, that's a raya. The answer is Tirgma Rava Beyeva Usvachta. Maybe we're talking about a handkerchief or different types of items such as that. Says Rashbam, says Rashi, the Rashbam, mini seifim v'kishuri nashim, like knots, shehein davar mu, it's very small. Umachol lagamri, the person's just meichel. Loshno bolu, loshno lo bolu. Aval tachshitin chashubim tiboilach. So we don't know necessarily that is a raya, because maybe we're talking about not food items, but we're talking about items that are just insignificant, which are lo bolu. So Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Masabadam Echad Shishiger B'Leves Chamav. He gave to his wife's family yain chadash, new wine, v'shemen chadash, new oil, uklei pishtan chadash, new garments, batzeres, during the holiday of Atzeres. Apparently means in the holiday of Shavuos. Okay, so my kamashmon. So what's that coming to tell you? Maybe it's just telling you the chashivus of Eretz Yisrael. Or it's telling you the itayin, if the chassan makes a claim, tainei taina, that's a valid claim. Let's look at the Rashbam. Shvacha de Eretz Yisrael. Shema meheres lavashol periseha batzeres. It's just coming to tell you that the fruits ripen quickly by Shavuos time, which is what happens in Eretz Yisrael. Or his claim is a good claim. Says the Rashbam, regarding returning the gifts, but Saris, I sent you wine and oil on Shavuos. We don't say that this is a lie, and therefore it is returned. Okay. So we listened to his claim that actually that's what it was. So it's a story that they said to him regarding his wife, tos ranis he. What is that? That he's sick. He can't smell. And this is a blemish which is inward. As is brought down by Santa Ksuvas, if you marry a woman on condition that she should have no blemishes, because that's the condition. Let's say you marry her and there was you didn't make any stipulations whether she should have I'm not going to marry her if she has a mum, but you said I'm marrying her. The question is, what's an average guy? So she can leave, and he doesn't have to pay her ksuba. Okay, chulad. That's only when it comes to a mum which is beseser, because he didn't know about it, so therefore he shouldn't have to give the ksuba. Was that ish lo kibul of as a mumin vim kitcha stam bekansa stam v'nimso bo mumin tetzabul ksuba. Mu get boy, he still will need to give her a get, but it's only by mumim which are beseser. So this blemish, if you will, this mum is considered to be a mum beseser. So that's what Shamrulo Ishto, the Ishto to tosranis he, that your wife has this inability again to be able to smell things. Okay. But Nichnas Acharehu Chorba, they went after her into this dilapidated building, basically to examine her, to be able to figure out what the deal is, if it's actually true. Lubadka, says Rashbam, V'yesh Mefarshim, Koseves Natal B'Taychekov Lotznayin. They put a date in her bosom, on her lap, and not a radish. Armalei Reach Snayin Anima Reach B'Gol. So I smell a smell of a radish. Now, obviously, a date and a radish have very different smells. One's sweet and one's sharp. And therefore, that kind of demonstrated the fact that she, in fact, had issues with her smelling. As we continued to cook mem vavam and bays, so Amrullah, so they said to her, in a derech schayk, the Rashbam says, almost like a joking manner, man yoivlan mikoisavais diricho, who gave her this date from Yericho, v'achlanale that she ate a radish with it. Nafal lachorba umesa. The chorba took place and she died. Mesa in Yarsha. Says the whole reason why they went just to examine the situation. So when she died in Yarsha, her Yerush, there will be no Yerusha. Says the Rashbam. According to the explanation that there was actually a real date, a date I smell and not a radish. Richo nikris ir hatamarim vainu kasavos. Yericho apparently was a city which had a lot of dates. Nafal chorba mesa uva bal of nebastin. The husband went to Bastin. Vayi writes al yirashas ishto. So he wanted to be able to inherit his wife's property. So on this, the Chachamim said, since they only went there to examine whether or not to see what the din is, and he was going to maybe divorce her, and then she died before that, in a Yorsha, then he's not going to be able to Yorish. Says Rashbam, Umikala ba'arusa. We're talking about a case where it was only B'shas Erison. Even if, let's say, he had beer with her, that doesn't change anything. It's only once he actually entered the chuppah, skipping a few more lines. His real intention was to divorce her, because once he found out she couldn't smell. If it turns out she does have this blemish, but she just happened to die before, then he's not going to get her Yerusha, because he already was intending to divorce her anyway. If a person finds out that his wife died in the middle of this huge fight, so much that he was going to divorce her anyway, as soon as you have the intention to divorce, even though you actually didn't go through the actions, technically you're no longer allowed to any of her things. So Yosef, Rava Sabbath came to Rav Papa, he was sitting behind Yosef and he said the following: Ben Shemes, he Ben Shemes who, whether he died or she died, Hadar who, it doesn't make any difference. The din is the same. Hadar who Sevoinos, we return the gifts. Hadri, when we return the gifts, Hadri Michael Michael Mishna lo Hadar. Hadra ba'ihi, hadra fil kisha diarka. However, if let's say she's the one that backed out, right? She backed out of the marriage. If she backed out of the marriage and she broke the engagement off, then according to him, if hadra ba'ihi, hadra fil kisha diarka, then she has to even give back bundles of vegetables, and which obviously do spoil. The point is that it was on her. Says the Rashbam, Sivloinis Hadri, keep going, Sivloinis Shenasun Lebolois, gifts in which won't spoil, Shashach Stam, of Uchla Mishta, Shashach Mebeis Chamavul Hadri. The food and drink he doesn't return. But if she's the one that backed down, that's different. I'm going to put a bit of Yeshua, the Shomalahen, Demei Basa Bazoil, Ad Kama Bazol, Ad Tilta. We consider it like lower price meat, which is a third of its price. Question 13. Who or he, if he dies or she dies, him chayzen has. So im ochal v'shasa b'dinner. So this is part of the Mishnah. If he already ate and drank something, as much of a dinner there, even drank, sivlonos hasim lebalos, things which are perishable, kaidim nesuin, good ma'achal mishta lohadri. He doesn't get back. Sivlonos she'enosum lebalos, such as takshiti zahav v'kesev, is hadri. That's if he backs down. And then im lo achal v'shasa b'dinner hakol chayzer. If he doesn't eat or drink anything, then everything goes back. Now this is interesting because, again, it sounds like question 13 is not just the Mishnah. It sounds like mostly the Mishnah here. But the reality is that maybe there is a distinction when it comes to her. Okay, before we get to the next Mishnah, see there's another question. Question TA 10. He retracts the girsha and divorces her. Oh, he chazra he machzirin hasibloinos. Okay, so the chazar who sivlonos shenesun lebos chayzun. If he's the one who's chayzer, if it's sivlonos shenesun lebos, he still gets it back. Machal mishna ein chayzun, he doesn't get food or drink. Hasun lebos, that which does get ruined, v'lo bolu, havi boya b'gemara. Okay, this is not really the question I was expecting. It's hard to really decipher that that's what the question was. But anyway, that is what they're looking for over here. That when it comes to items in which will spoil, so he doesn't get back. Items in which will not spoil, which are she'ein asun l'bolos, he does get back. Asun l'bolos v'lo, and that's in the boy the lifshata, which is let's just find over here. Siboilois hasuin libois in nigvin. Okay, let's just find this. Yeah, so this was the question. Boy, sivonos hasuin libois v'lo. So that's really hard to expect that that's what they're also going on. But okay, so that's in the boya delo ivshita. Right, that's something which we didn't answer. Hasun libolos v'lo. Havi boya b'gemar movad b'yom v'savachta the mochel gamri, like the knots, the small little things. V'chazari he machzir nakoil. However, if this is an important piece also over here. If she backs down machzir nakoil, then in fact everything goes back. If she backs out of the marriage, so let's get that piece over here. Hadra ba'ihi hadra fil kishid diyarka. So make that note as well. That was TA 10. TB 11 we're not up to. Let's see the next Mishnah. Says the Masnisin. Okay. So, Shchimira. So you have this person who is dying. Shekosiv kol nechasav l'cherem. He wrote everything to someone else. V'huadin, says Rashbam, im chiluk al piv, blok siv. If he didn't write it down, also, says Rashbam, kagoyin shahayu eidim shahayu shchimira. They have witnesses that he was dying. So, he wrote everything to someone else. However, shir karka koshehu. He left a small amount for himself. So matnaso kayemes, so his gift remains. Says Rashbam, the matnash chimira b'mixas. Let's say he didn't give everything away because he kept something for himself. Im oben b'chaliyav, if he gets healthy, enu chayzer, he cannot retract. The hilchos that the law is that matnash chimira b'mixas boy kinyan. Anyway, the logic behind that, says the Rashbam over here, matnasu matana hoyel v'shir atzmo. Why did he leave something for himself? Harihi kamatnas bari. It's interesting. It's considered like a matnas bari, because why would, if you think you're going to die, why are you leaving anything for yourself? You know you're going to die. So it must be because he actually didn't really think he was going to die. Maybe he really wasn't taka shchimiran. We see that taka he lived. So therefore, because of that, he is able to keep obviously what he kept for himself, but everything else is a gift, and he can't back down. Lo shir karka koshu ein matnasu kayemes. But if he left absolutely nothing, says Rashbam, v'im omad chayzer, and he gets healthy, he gets it all back. Afilu kanam yadai shenir hadavar shemachmas misa nasan. He only gave it away because he thought he was going to die. But now that he lives, now that he's alive, it's clear it should all go back to him. So that's going busser umdana. That's the more discusses. How do we see that we go basar the logic? Even though, what do you mean? He gave him this, and that should be it. It's a good gift. The reality is we go basar umdana, and we understand the mindset that he probably only gave it all away because he thought he was going to die. Mashma, if somehow a 1% chance that I live, I obviously want all this stuff back, and therefore he gets it back. So Rav Nachman, so he says, Reb Shimon ben Menasihi, Desanya, we had all these sugyas before, in Masechtas Gittin and elsewhere. Hari shahalach b'noyim dinas hayam. So your son goes to Vietnam, v'shama shemeis b'noy, and tragically you hear the terrible news, your son died. V'amad v'kasav kol nechasav la'acher, and you're like, okay, you know what? I don't have any children, so I'm just going to write everything to this stranger. And all of a sudden your son comes to your front door. It wasn't true. He's alive. So matnaso matana. So he said, it's too bad. It's still a gift. The fact is that you gave this gift. It's a gift because you didn't stipulate anything. Rav Shimon ben Menasiah, no, ein matnaso matana. It's not a gift. He would never have written this to this strange guy, whoever it may be, a friend, if he knew his son was alive. So it's clear, going basar umdana, he would have only have done this because he thought his son died. But now that his son is alive, he would never have given it to him in the first place. And therefore, it's not a matana. Rav Sheshes Aimer, Rav Shimon Shizurihi. The Sanya, Rishain originally, a person's going out like with a collar, which means he's in chains, and he's about to be publicly executed. Yermer kisvu get liishti, write a get for my wife. Now, even though he didn't say give it, you can just say write a get all day, but that doesn't mean I want you to actually give it to my wife. I just want it maybe good and ready. But the fact is that since he's going out to die, we should maybe go basar umdana and see logically why is he doing this? Not just so it should be written, but because it should be given to his wife, so she's not going to fall into yibum. Furthermore, we said, also an individual who goes out, says the Rashba, Mufarish, Yabashal Yam, person who's going out to the sea, in which the seas then were extremely dangerous, and therefore because that you could have died. So Rav Shimon Shizuri Omer Afa Masukin. We're going to focus on Rav Shimon Shizuri, that Karva Misa, person is dying. He's like our Mishnah, Shlimira, Shedaito Shiyichtav Avitnu. His intention was to write it and to give it. To lift us Ishtom and Yibum Nischaven. That was his intention. So we go basar umdana. Question 14. Be'elu Beis Mekaimas Metsino Tanaim Dalzu basar umdana. So where do we find that we go basar umdana, which is question 14, which is also TB 11. So it's, of course, the answers that we just said, but let's just, let me read what I wrote. Im shama shemes haben, v'naisin kol hakarka la'acher, and then you find out shehu kayim hakol leben. Okay. Im kar v'misa v'hu loy oimer beferish yichtav utnu. You didn't say give it, the get. Avopike noisines haget. Nonetheless, the get is given. Okay. Fine. So that's going basar umdana. So Rav Nachman, my time aloi moikim lo Rav Shimon Shizuri. Why did Rav Nachman just say the reason is like Rav Shimon Shizuri of Afa Masukin? This also sounds like going basar umdana. So Shani Hasem Dermer Kisru. The fact that he said something, he said write it. So therefore, that's a gili das that he wants to give the get. Because otherwise, why is he asking them to write it? So therefore, that may not even be basar umdana, because that's already like much more clear that that's definitely what his intention was. It's kiyu like he said utanu. So that may not even be a raya that we go basar umdana because it's so obvious. Rav Shimon ben Menasiah. What was wrong with the other reason about the son who went to Medinas Yam? He thought he died because umdana muchach shani, an umdana which is clear is different. Says the Rashbam, Shekol Zman Shaya Beno Kayim. As long as your son was alive, you only gave it the second that you found out your son died. So obviously, it's because it's totally on the son. You never gave it away. You could have given it away any time you wanted. You decided only the second after you found out your son died. Obviously, it's because it's totally on your son. Sick people generally will live. Okay. So again, a person was sick in bed. The amrulo nechasecha lemi. Who are you giving your possessions to? The amrulo, and he said to them, as we continue to kuf mem zayin manav doime. Which Rashbam says, it appears to me, sheyesh ben, that I have a son. Akshav she'en li ben, I thought that I had a son. Now that I don't have a son, give my monies to someone else. A person was sick in bed. Who you can give your money to? I thought she ishti mu'beres. I thought my wife was pregnant. Now my wife's not pregnant. Give it to someone else. It turned out that he did have a wife who was pregnant or a son. It's not a gift, right? Because again, we go basar umdana. So Rav Shimon ben Manasseh, v'Rabbanan. It's clearly like the opinion of Rav Shimon ben Manasseh. No, it's possible if you'll tame Rabbanan. Doime shani. The fact that he said the word doime, I thought, that in itself clearly indicates that it was only totally on his thought process. Otherwise, if he knew that his wife was pregnant or he had a child, everyone would agree to it. So what was the habit? Maybe he's just recalling his pain. Says the Rashbam, the fact that he said this, even the Rabbanan would agree that in this situation,